Welcome everyone. Welcome to the webcast today on Revit and BIM Collaborate Pro. My name is Justin. I am an AEC BIM consultant here at A2K Technologies. I've been asked to go through with you a brief overview of how the Revit authoring software works with the new BIM Collaborate Pro environment. We'll first start by understanding the differences between the old BIM 360 design as opposed to the newer BIM Collaborate Pro. From there, we will cover the different licensing options that's available, the functionalities within BIM Collaborate Pro, and then we'll also present a demo of both Revit and BIM Collaborate Pro in action as a typical workflow scenario. This demo will include things such as project administration within BIM Collaborate Pro, Revit Cloud Worksharing initiation, design collaboration features, and a bit of clash detection. Now, I know a lot of the users, especially in Australia and New Zealand, may still be on Revit 2021. So I will do this demo in that version and outline any small differences that you may see if you are using Revit 2022 instead. There will be a short Q&A session at the end, so please feel free to jump in with some questions or jot them down in the chat, and I'll revisit them at the end of the demo. Perfect. Just a little bit before we get to the main topics, a brief overview of what A2K Technologies is and does. We are an IT solutions organization that primarily sits within the infrastructure, mining, construction, and manufacturing industries. We help organizations within these industries by delivering complete technology solutions and support services, such as consulting and education, Autodesk products, and of course, forms as part of that said solutions with Revit and BIM Collaborate Pro obviously being on their forte. Why A2K Technologies? Mainly three reasons. We've got a excellent ANZ footprint with offices in large parts of Australia and New Zealand. I'm based in New Zealand myself, and I know we've got 5 or 6 offices in Australia. We are actually one of the largest Autodesk partners in the world, and thankfully enough, we're considered by all the businesses that we deal with to be a trusted advisor on that front. In addition to Autodesk, we also partner with vendors such as Microsoft, HP, Lenovo, Unity, and BIM POS, etc., just so we can remain holistic and provide the right solution to the client. And lastly, because most of us within A2K Technologies are from the relevant industry itself, we understand the challenges a lot of our clients face, and so we can deliver solutions through a combination of experience and a little bit of innovation. Awesome. A little bit about me as well. My name is Jatin Sharma. I have over 7 years experience in the construction industry as a BIM manager, designer, and technical instructor. Currently, my role at A2K is that of a AEC BIM consultant, and my software skills include AutoCAD, Revit, BIM Collaborate Pro, of course, Navisworks, Format, 3ds Max, and Autodesk Build. I actually initially completed a Bachelor of Science doing a double major in geology and physics, and accidentally stumbled into the building industry and just sort of fell in love with it. Initially, I started working as a draftee and building up my portfolio a little bit to become a designer and Revit certified professional, and then sort of building on it even further, and finally coming together as a BIM manager, and now as a BIM consultant for A2K. So that's a little bit about me. Now that we've kind of gone through the pleasantries a little bit, let's get into the meat of the webinar. I think a good idea to start is first understanding what the BIM Collaborate Pro software actually is. Now, for those who are around in the older days, so around Revit 2018, 2019 odd, there was a product available called BIM 360 Design. Okay, and that's this little section here. Now, this product allowed you to access the BIM 360 environment in the cloud and use modules such as Revit Cloud Worksharing, collaboration for Civil 3D, and collaboration for Plant 3D. This new product, the BIM Collaborate Pro, is actually its successor. So what's formerly known as BIM 360 Design, you can now refer to as BIM Collaborate Pro. And it actually sits on a platform that is now called the Autodesk Construction Cloud environment. Okay. I'm just going to drop that last little bits there. Okay, so please bear in mind that this is a unified platform now where your older BIM 360 projects are now in the same place as the new Autodesk Construction Cloud environment. And what that means is that not only do you have access to your older projects, within the BIM 360 days, but because now this new product, BIM Collaborate Pro, is in the Autodesk Construction Cloud environment, you actually get extra functionality. So you have Autodesk Docs, design collaboration, model coordination, which actually enables clash detection in the cloud itself. So when your different discipline design teams are uploading their models to the cloud, you can create a automatic model federation and actually clash detect within the cloud itself, and assign any issues you may have back to the relevant design team, all in the cloud. So that wasn't previously available with the old BIM 360 platform. And we'll have a clearer idea of this as we go and actually do a demo, so you get a good idea. So the little notes in blue are all of the newer aspects that you get in the Autodesk BIM Collaborate Pro. Okay. Now, another slide that I like to use as a visual representation of the differences between BIM Collaborate Pro and some of the other products is something that you see here. So you see that line here, and on the upper section of the line, it says something for designers. Okay, so if the objective for you and your team is to be part of the authoring process, then you need to be on BIM Collaborate Pro. Okay, because so you use something like Revit, you use Civil 3D, you use Plant 3D, and you need to be part of the authoring process, then this is the license that you need. Okay, if you are someone who is a reviewer, aka you're an outside consultant that's just sort of wanting to look at the models and provide any feedback from a clash detection perspective or from a design perspective or a council perspective, then you would only require a license that's known as a Autodesk BIM Collaborate or even an Autodesk Docs. Okay, so that is the really big difference between Autodesk BIM Collaborate Pro and the other licenses that are available, which all sit in the ACC platform or the Autodesk Construction Cloud platform. Now, what's actually in the Autodesk BIM Collaborate Pro is these 4 big modules. Okay, so you can think of each square that you see here as a different module, all sitting in the Autodesk Construction Cloud platform. Okay, so first we have a module called Docs, or called Autodesk Docs. And what that lets you do is that it lets you set up a document management platform, environment, I should say, within the platform, and it accepts around 50 plus file formats, including things like Word or Excel, and STL files. Most common design files, even outside of the Autodesk realm, it will be able to accept. You can set up permissions, do a 2D and 3D version comparison, and also create issues and markups. And again, we'll see a visual example of this when we do the demo. Of course, one of the biggest things is the Revit Cloud Worksharing, which allows you to connect your Revit to the cloud platform and collaborate within a virtual environment. So there's sort of no need for a remote internal system, I like to say. The next module that will be available is design collaboration. So that's being able to set publishing, package review and distribution, visual version comparison, and design issues. The last module that will be available to you is something that's known as model coordination, and that's what allows for automated clash detection, clash grouping, and coordination issues. Okay, so just a little bit of a video. We don't need to worry about this too much, but essentially, just to kind of, I might just pause this for a second. Excuse me. Yeah, the design. Oh, sorry about this. Yeah, we go back to Revit Cloud Worksharing. So the way that the Revit Cloud Worksharing works is that the Revit models are synced to the Construction Cloud platform. From there, files are packaged and shared to other design teams. And this can actually include both models and sheets, depending on what needs to be shared. And those other design teams can then view the contents of the shared data and optionally consume it into their own design workflow. This process ensures that the design files remain on the platform without needing to be constantly downloaded and uploaded, aka the older Dropbox method. Okay, just a little bit around design changes and tracking that's available. There is a project timeline that sits in the design collaboration platform, and this allows everyone to stay on the same page as the design changes throughout the course of the project. There are timeline symbols which indicate when packages are created from a design team, and if they have been consumed by your design team, or if they haven't yet. You can also review changes between model versions if necessary, but we'll go over this in greater detail within the actual demo itself. Just as a side note, collaboration for Civil 3D and Plant 3D is also available within this environment, and I urge everyone who is interested in finding out a little bit more to check out a webinar that we did previously by my colleague Dean Peterson on how to use Civil 3D within the Autodesk Construction Cloud platform, and how you can integrate that back into your Revit as well. So if you're a multidisciplinary organization, you can connect your civil team with your architecture and structure team all within the Autodesk Construction Cloud platform. So if you're interested in learning more, just check out that webinar. The last big sort of pillar here is something that's known as clash issue management. It's a pretty key component as far as continuous collaboration is concerned. Now, obviously, there's no need to wait for the next coordination meeting to assign issues. You can assign issues as it comes up within a package. You can tag clashes as issues. You can assign them to the appropriate stakeholder, for resolution and input a start date and a due date. You can even see these issues directly in Revit now. It's a new feature that got released at the end of August/September last year. And I'll show you what that looks like in a demo. So because that was one of the most requested features, if you will, ever since the introduction to the BIM Collaborate platform. Now, I think that sort of covered the initial PowerPoint side of this webcast. So we'll go into a live demo. Just give me a couple seconds to get one or two things ready. So you should be able to see something different on your screen now, or not. Bear with me. There we are. Okay, so you'll see here a couple of interesting things. So this is what the docs, you remember we're talking about the different modules available, and you can access this on the upper left-hand side of your screen. Okay, so you can see docs, design collaboration, model coordination, and project insight. So this is what a typical environment looks like from a BIM Collaborate Pro perspective within the Autodesk Construction Cloud. I won't go into too much details about each one of these things, but just as a brief overview. It's always recommended that you start by creating some folders. And you can see here I've created a bit of a simple folder structure. You can have any folder structure that you'd like. There is no limitation in that regard. Typically, most people refer to the BIM ISO standards, but feel free to use whatever you wish. One of the questions I get asked quite frequently is is there a size limitation as far as these document management side of it is concerned? And the answer is no, there is no limitation. You can have as many projects as you like and as big of files as you like and as many files as you like. There is no limitation from a sizing perspective within the cloud. Okay, you can access your different projects that are available to you on this little arrow here. So if I click this arrow, you'll see a couple of projects that I have available. Now, you'll remember I talked about slightly earlier on about this being a unified platform, as in your older BIM 360 projects are available in ACC as well as your new projects. And we can see this as a visual representation. So you see this little symbol here. If you see a little orb with some crosses across it, that's what you can refer to as the newer BIM Collaborate Pro projects. But you also see some Bs here, and that B refers to the older BIM 360 projects that are available as well. So that's how we know it's a unified platform. So there's no need to really worry in that regard. And as I say, on the upper left-hand corner, you've got your access to your different modules which are available. And if you click on these three little dots on any one of these folders, okay, you'll see something called permissions. You can also set up add subfolders as necessary. Again, it's fairly straightforward. You can even now enforce a naming standard if you wish. But this thing here is really key, permissions, because I get asked a lot of questions around, hey, I can't see a file I'm supposed to. I can't collaborate like how I'm supposed to. It really hinges on this permission here. Okay, typically speaking, Autodesk and A2K recommend the use of using something called roles. So you can see something called architect, BIM manager, etc., and giving those roles a permission. So if you give the role an appropriate permission, what that means is any person who has that role will have that permission, and therefore it's just much easier to manage and ensure that the right design team has access to the right folders. I am getting slightly ahead of myself. You probably want to know how you go about creating a new project first before you get to the stage, and I will demonstrate that for you now. So this is what it typically looks like from an account admin perspective. Now, just as a note, you do need to be an account admin in order to create a new project, and the account admin module, if you go under Autodesk Docs, is just account admin here. So if you click on this link, you should be able to access this page here. And it's fairly straightforward. There's a big blue button here that says Create Project. And if you click on this, you can give it a name. So we can call this Test 1. We can give it a project number. The account here is important because you're telling it basically under what account should this project sit in, as in who is the host of this particular project. So for us, it's just going to be A2K Technologies. We can choose a project type, so we could just choose an office. There is a project template that you can create where if you create a new project, you can have a lot of those folders that we saw under Autodesk Docs. You can have these created automatically with some desired permissions by creating a project template and selecting it in this area here. If you want to, and you can enter an address as well. Obviously, the asterisk is what's necessary. Everything else is redundant. And when you're done, you can click on Create New Project, and it will go about creating a new project. So you can see that's running away. We'll give it a couple seconds. There we go. Cool. And when you first start, it will just be you, and then it will add other users, or rather you need to add members as necessary. Now, one thing to note here is that initially when you set up a new project, there isn't actually any modules that get activated. You need to activate them as the account admin. And you do this on this section here, the assign products and permissions. So if I want this project to have docs, I click over here. Yes, of course. If I wanted to have build, if I want to have cost management, nope, not for us today. But yes, we do want design collaboration. We want yes to model coordination. And once you're happy with that, it will pop up here in green and say, yep, it's all been turned on. And if you refresh, this will then populate with the additional modules which will be available. So let me just do that now. I'm just going to refresh. And when I do so, you'll see the modules are, well, slightly set up, initially, created for us to implement further as necessary. So that's how we kind of get to this portion here. So if I was to click Docs here, you'll see it will pop up and initially just say something like project files. Okay, you may be wondering what for the field is. You can see it here when we initially created it and over here too. Now that is more for Autodesk Build. What that lets you do is that it lets you connect to your to the construction team when they go on site, so they can actually have their plans that you've created post design phase with in their site on their iPad or mobile phone, and have some really good workflows there. You can probably check out more information on this. I believe we have an upcoming webinar on Autodesk Build around late January, so you may want to check that out if you want to know more information here. For us, we're focused on this little portion here. Okay, perfect. So now that we've got, let's say, like a pseudo a project document folders sort of set up, I'll go over how we can populate this with some Revit files and how to sort of start with the Revit cloud collaboration. And you can see here, I've got a folder here for architecture. I've got one for services and structure. I've got a sample file called LTU architecture, which we'll work on. But for now, I'm just going to jump back into my Revit. Okay, So you can see here in my Revit, so I'm on Revit 2021. I've got a Autodesk Revit basic sample project. So let's do a workflow together. I'm going to put on my architect hat, and I've done, let's say, 30-40% design of a basic 1 to 2 story building, and I want to now put this up into the cloud so that we can start collaborating with the structural engineers and mechanical engineers. I have set up my folders, and I just need to start, initiating the cloud process. Okay, so for that, you click on what's known as the Collaborate tab in your Autodesk Revit. Okay, and in there is something called Collaborate. So if you click on this, it will think for a minute and it will give you this option. And it says you are enabling collaboration. How would you like to collaborate? One option is within your network, and that is the within your organization, if you will, on your shared drive. The option that we're after today is in BIM 360 document management system. You can see here it still uses some of the older terminology, and that's why it's important to understand how this is all transitioned. So if we click on this in BIM 360 document management and click OK, it will connect us to the cloud and we can put this model in the cloud. Before I actually click on OK, there is one important point I want to bring up. You will definitely need a program that is called the Autodesk Desktop Connector app. Okay, this is different from what we also known as the Autodesk Desktop app. Okay, the Autodesk Desktop app is for all of your program updates. The Autodesk Desktop Connector app is what connects your local machine to the ACC cloud environment or the BIM 360 cloud environment, however you want to call it. If you don't have that program, it will stop you here and you won't be able to actually see everything that you've created here up in the cloud. So it's very, very, very important. So if I hit OK, you can see it'll think for a bit and it will give me some options. So I'm going to go A2K Technologies. I can see here I've got one for my Revit and BIM Collaborate Pro demo. And if I go project files, you can see here my folder structure here is exactly the same as what I've got here, bar the subfolder. So there you go. So what you see here, you won't see shared. That's something slightly different, which I'll go over a bit later on. But you can see that here. Okay. And if you, for example, if we go into working, I'm an architect, so I'll go into the architecture folder and I can now initiate the project to put it up into the cloud. Another thing to note is you'll see that I can see a bunch of project files, like I can see services, structure, or everything that's available. Again, this comes back to permissions. I've got the permission of a BIM manager, so I have access to everything. If you were just a mid-level designer in an architectural firm, you may not be able to see the services and structure subfolder. So don't stress too much. You should only typically see the folder that concerns you. So when you're done, obviously you hit the initiate button, and this will just take this file straight into the cloud. We've actually done one already, just so we have something that's working. So I'm going to close this out, and we've got this project here, the LTU architecture, and that is this file here. Okay, and how we access this straight from our Revit is if you click on this little home button here. Okay, you see how it says BIM 360? It will be called BIM 360 in Revit 2021. In Revit 2022, it will actually say Autodesk Docs. Okay. So if we check this little part over here, you'll see the name of the company and the projects that that we have available to us. Obviously, we're going to go Revit and BIM Collaborate Pro demo. And I'm just going to go backwards a bit, project files, working architecture, and you can see LTU architecture. And if you click on this, it will become available to you here, and I can see a 3D version of my model. And if we actually jump back into our cloud environment and click on LTU architecture, just give it a couple of seconds for it to load up. You can see here a similar viewpoint. Okay, that's up in the cloud. Now, you might be asking, hey, what's this little yellow sticker here? That is an issue. Okay, that someone has created. Again, we'll go over this in a bit more detail a little bit later on. But I also mentioned how you can see this issue back into your Revit as well. If I go to my Revit here and go to what's known as the Issues tab. Now, this is an add-on that you'll need to install. It's a free add-on, obviously. And if you hit Issues and hit Manage Issues, you'll see that on this side of my screen, you'll be able to see that issue. And if you click on this issue, it will show you within your local Revit environment. Okay. So that's a cool new feature that's now available. Was something that wasn't available in the past. You had to sort of check this issue here, go into your Revit, find the same spot, and make the edits as necessary. But now it's available. Okay, perfect. Right. So we have essentially this project here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go over how we actually publish this into the design collaboration stage and proceed further. So we can pretend that we'll put this up into the cloud, but now we need to take it further. And for that, we actually go back to this Collaborate tab here. And first organize what's known as Publish Settings. Okay, that's this little button here. So if I click on Publish Settings, you'll see here something that's called Sets. Okay, and in these sets are organized views and sheets that correspond back to your project browser. So for example, for this full set here, I've got a whole bunch of sheets. Okay, and I can select them as necessary. We'll just do one, which is the coordination set. And in this coordination set, I want to have this 3D view. Okay, and you can preview this if you'd like to. So if I hit this little 3D view here, you can preview what you actually want to publish. Interesting point to note is the first time you put your model into the cloud, as in when we initiated the setup, the model will both be put into the cloud and also published for the first time. Okay, that's the only time that happens in tandem. From there onwards, every single time you want to actually publish, that's slightly different to just syncing, as in synchronizing with Central. Okay, so you want to first set up your publish settings. Okay, pick up the views and sheets that you want to publish. And then from there, what you can do is you can actually, what I like to do is I like to go back to this little button over here and click on publish status. So it says here, it's got a little green tick saying latest is published, but if I make a change, it will provide a little sentence saying update available. And if you click on that button, it will let you publish this into the cloud. Alternatively, you can also click on this little button here under Manage Cloud Models. Okay, and it'll think about it for a couple minutes, and it will, let's see if we can find our BIM Collaborate Pro demo. Give it a couple seconds to think about it. There we are. And then we can go ahead and
either click on this, we've got a green tick already saying it's latest, but we can also click on this little button here if we want to as well. Actually, a very good thing to note here, this relinquish button, if you ever have issues where when you're trying to open up a model in the cloud, or from the cloud, within your Revit, and it says, hey, you can't make some changes that you want to, it's probably because someone hasn't relinquished their settings. And if you're a BIM manager, you can force relinquish by clicking this button here. And you can also view versions of the file if you want to, as in your previous uploads here. Okay, perfect. So now we've taken this model and we've published it. It's up there into the cloud platform, and it's in our docs module. And again, if we open it up, we can see it. Okay, and it's there. And if you click on this little button here called Sheets and Views, it will give you a bit more control in terms of what you want to see. So for 3D, we've got our coordination view, remember that we published, and if you go to 2D, you can see the different floor plans that was part of the published set. And if you click on any one of these, it will go to that 2D view. One of the things I like to do is actually click on this little button here called Properties. Okay, and it works like kind of like within our Revit, this little Properties button within our Revit. It works the same way. So if I go a bit closer and double click on this basic wall, it will give me information on that wall. Okay, and I can actually even go ahead, and if I wanted to, I can click on this little pen looking button to mark this up as necessary. And if I wanted to create an issue, like let's say if I had a problem with this at any point, I click on this little tick over here. Okay, and you can these are typically pre-made different issue types. So we'll choose any one, and you can go ahead and add a pin anywhere you want. Okay, and when you add the pin, you can then go ahead and fill this in and assign it to any particular user. So you can go assign to, I can put my name in, and if I put my name in, it will send me a prompt to say, hey, you've been given an issue to resolve. Okay, so that's perfect. Now, what we'll do is we'll go from the docs portion here to the design collaboration part, and I actually have it opened up here. Okay, so again, this was accessed through design collaboration. And you can see here, I've got some couple of different models that I've published, and this again corresponds to what's in this folder here. Okay. Now, if you click on these three little buttons, you'll be able to see those project timelines or swim lanes, as I like to call them. And if you press this little arrow again, it will transition to all of the teams which I've set up. Now, please note that these teams here are actually connected to the, I'm just going to get rid of this, we don't need this, to the folder teams that we saw here. Okay, and that was part of the setup process for design collaboration. Actually, in fact, the Autodesk Construction Cloud environment will try to find this automatically, but you can also manually set it up if you wish. And you can see here on this portion of my screen, you can see the project timeline, which extends for about 9 months. And you can see different symbols. So for example, for services here, or structure, I can see in April some work was done. So in fact, if I click on services, I can see a couple of different symbols. Some of them are shaded, some of them are half open. Now I sometimes I've got a bad memory. Sometimes I remember what each and every one of these are. For that, Autodesk have created a really good help page called Timeline Symbols.
Okay, and you can access this. I'll have a link of it within at the end of the webcast. But basically, it tells you what each of these symbols mean. So, for example, if we go over here for services, we've got a half-filled circle. Okay, and if we go and look at what a half-filled circle is, an empty circle on another team's line represents a package that has been shared but not consumed by your team. So, what does that mean? So I am part of architecture, and this is services here. So if I click on services, okay, I can see the model and I can see the package that they've created, but I haven't consumed this yet. So because I haven't consumed this, it's showing as a half circle. If I go to something like this little filled in circle here, you can see that consume button isn't actually present. And that's because a filled circle means that you have actually consumed the model that particular team has shared. Okay. And again, before you consume, it's always a good idea to click on the actual contents of the package, and make sure that you are happy with what you're getting from, for example, from the services team here. Am I happy with all of the elements that I'm getting? And sorry, it's just generating now. And if I am, then I can hit the consume button. If I'm not, I can click on this little tick here again and create an issue for them to resolve before I'm ready to consume. Okay, now I'm going to flip this around and show you something that's called a compare, which I find is a really, really good tool under design collaboration. So let's say, for example, okay, so currently I'm part of the architecture team, but let's say I was actually part of the structure team. Okay, I am now part of the structure team, and I can see architecture here has created a package for me. Okay, and I can see this package here, and I haven't yet consumed it. And if I click on this LTU architecture, now obviously it's quite a bulky model, and I actually want to know the differences between the last time they shared something with me and this time. Okay, but I don't want to have to go through and hide and do all sorts of things. For that, there is a compare button, which is very useful, and it allows you to visualize changes between content versions. So if I click on this, it will say LTU architecture, and it will say compare version 2 with version 3. So version 2 is the previous version, and this is the latest one that they've done. And if you hit show changes, it will actually look something like this. Okay, I've just done a pre-generated one, and this is what it will look like. Okay, and you can see here a list of changes, but well, I like to use these three. These are my favorite. So it tells you what's been added. It tells you all the elements that have been modified and what elements have been deleted. Easy way to do this is, let's say I want to know what elements have been deleted from the previous shared file and the new one. I just untick these two. Okay, I can see the deleted is actually this water cooler. And if I click on this water cooler, it will take me to that water cooler. And I can see in version 1 it's there, but version 3 it's been deleted. Okay, I can see one for doors, this interior here, that's been deleted as well. Okay, so if I don't want to see deleted, I can uncheck that and go add it if I want to. I can see a door here. I add this door, has been added in version 3, but in version 1, it wasn't there. Okay, so that's a really nice tool I like to use before you go ahead and consume a particular package, and that you are happy with it. Okay, and again, that's from these little timelines here. Typically speaking, whatever's line at the bottom is essentially the team that you're part of. Now I have access to every team, like I say, but if you were an architect, you'd only have this. You'd only have some of these available to you depending on your permissions. Okay, perfect. So that's a little bit around the design collaboration aspect. I'm just trying to think if there's any other big points here. Again, you can access the issues that have been noted under all the different teams in this little issues portion here. Okay, and you can see these are all the teams issues. Okay, you can see team work in progress issues. But what I like to use it as well is the team package issues, which are issues that the people have created as it pertains to a particular package before they've consumed it. Okay, so actually, yes, one more thing I do want to touch on is how you create a package for yourself. So as a package that you want to share with the other teams, that's by clicking on this little plus button here called create a new package. So if I click on this little plus button, okay, I'm actually part of the structure team. Give me 1 second, I'll jump back to architecture. Okay, and I've got my little models that I've published. I'm going to click on this little plus button. Okay. And then from there, I'm actually going to go models, and I'm going to click on my LTU architecture. If I click on this, that's fine. I can see my model. I can double check it, make sure that it's right, make sure it's showing what I want to. I can even compare before I'm ready to share it. And then once I am, I click on this little box here. I can choose to add in additional sets if I want to. So those are just views, and any other documentation is necessary. When I'm happy with all of that, I hit save. So in fact, we'll do that together. So I'll go LTU architecture, and I'll just select the set to, and I'll hit save. And when you do that, it will save this package. It will save it as a package, and then you can hit the share button. And when you hit share, it will become available for other teams to be able to use. So if I go package name, I can just go architecture 11. I can give it a description here, so that other teams know what is actually being shared, and I hit the share button. And there you go. Go ahead and start sharing that package. And now you'll see that if I was, let's say, a part of the structure team, I can see architecture in January have shared a package on the 13th. If I hover over again, you should be able to see the date. And I can see what they've shared with me. Model, this is the model. Again, I can do a compare, and when I'm happy with it, I can hit consume. And that will become part of my model back in Revit. Okay, perfect. So that's a little bit around how that design collaboration portion works. I will also touch on model coordination. So I'm just going to click on this little button here. That's going to take me to the model coordination space. Okay, so when you initially turn up to this page, this will be what's present to you, and you'll see a list of models which are available. Now, where it gets these models is actually shown up here. So it's saying shared folder coordination space. Okay, so what it's saying is back in Autodesk Docs, if I go to shared, all of the files that are in, so for example, architecture, there's a LTU architecture, mechanical, there's no one for mechanical, but there's one for services. And there should be one for structure. And it takes those files and it brings it back in here for us to be able to use. Now, the reason why I like to use shared folder coordination space in model coordination is in design collaboration. Sorry, let me just go back in here, get rid of this, and go back to home. So in design collaboration, when you actually share all of your models, okay, a copy of this file, this RVT file, actually gets placed automatically under the shared folder. Okay, so because of that reason, I don't need to manually populate this folder. And because I don't need to manually populate this folder, it's very good to have this coordination space here, because then the files get uploaded automatically and the clash detection actually happens in real time. So if I hit this little clashes button here, you can see all of the models are actually clash detecting on each other automatically in the cloud. And if there's any one in particular I want to do, I can search for a model. I can select a particular view. I can choose what model what model I want to see, or you can use this matrix. So for example, LTU services coordination compared to ARC. If I can see a lot of issues here. So if I click on this, it will clash detect on each other, and it will show us. So you can see I've got and it'll start going on. You can see the little loading bar here, and you can see I've got a bunch of clashes. So if I click on this clash issues, it will go ahead and find particular clash issues as necessary. And you can change tolerances here if you want to. You can group by object, and you can obviously create issues if you want by hitting the create issue button. In fact, what you can also do, if I jump back here, is you can create custom views if you'd like as well. So I've got a custom view here for structure plus plumbing specifically. So if this is a bit too bulky for you, as in seeing everything on each other and you're only interested in a couple of views, you can set custom views here. And if you click on any of these, it will think about it for a couple minutes, and then it will pop up and it will only show those two. And it will go ahead and it will clash detect once you hit update view. Okay, and if you click on this little button here called clashes, I like to typically group things by object. I like to look at clash issues instead of clash instances, but this works in a very similar fashion to something like Navisworks. Okay, perfect. So that's kind of gone over most of what I wanted to cover, and we are running out of time. So I'm just going to jump back into my PowerPoint. Just give me 1 second. And move to the resources page. I've got a BIM Collaborate Pro guide link here if everyone wants to take a screenshot and access this, and the design collaboration timeline symbols that you can get from Autodesk to help you out. If you have any more suggestions, feel free to email me directly, but we might move on to the questions portion. So yes, feel free to go ahead now and ask any questions you'd like, either from the chat or Q&A. I'll give you guys a couple seconds, and I might just pause my screen as well. Okay, it doesn't look like anyone has any questions. Oh, or not? Yes, there we go. Hi, from where could the issues add-in be downloaded from? Yes, that's not a problem. If you go on to like Google or Bing or any search, if you just type in Autodesk Revit issues add-on, it will pop up for you as a link. Oh, here we go. Now we see quite a lot of questions popping up. I'll just answer one by one. Yes. So hopefully that answers your question with the issues add-on. In fact, an easier way to do it, MS, is if you go to the Autodesk desktop app, there is a issues add-on. Let me just see if I can show you.
give me 1 second, I'll show you live. Okay, can you see this? This is my Autodesk desktop app. In here, there's a issues add-in. Okay, I've got one for Revit 2022. I still haven't updated, but you'll see one for Revit 2021. And if you hit the update button, you get that add-on. Okay. So hopefully that answers that question. Next is when you consume a file, do you have to reload So when you consume, I'm not sure what you mean, Alan. So when you consume a file, do you have to reload it in Revit? Yes. So after you've consumed it, you have to do a. I'm just going to open up my Revit for you to actually show you. What you need to do is you need to hit reload latest, right? Because what happens is, I'll just explain this a little bit more for you, Alan, so that it makes sense. So what we have here is a local copy of the central model that sits up in the cloud. Okay, so because we've consumed it, the local copy in our machine doesn't yet know to update itself until we actually hit the update button. And then once we hit the reload latest or synchronize with central, we're saying, hey, establish that connection again so that we can download the changes. So yes, the short answer to your question is yes, you will, but hopefully that helps you understand why we need to hit that button. I've got a next question here from Benny. Hi, Jatin. Recently, our architect team reflected they could not consume a package showed as a shaded circle. Yes. Yeah, Benny, for this question, it's actually a very good question. I'll read it out loud in case people haven't seen it. Recently, our architects team reflected that they could not consume a package from services team. That package showed as a shaded symbol on the timeline, but the arch team never actually consumed it before. When we republished again, but the trouble remained. Any advice on it? Yes. So if I jump back to my bear with me. All right, let's say I've got a shaded circle here. Okay, so shaded circle always means that you've consumed it. Okay, now sometimes what some people do is if we go back to docs, yeah. Okay, so every package that you consume, what happens is the copy gets placed. So okay, if I go to working, and I go to architecture, you'll see that there's a consumed folder. Now this gets automatically created, okay? Now, whenever you consume a version from the other disciplines, a copy of that gets placed here. So services, structure, etc., etc. Now, for you, Benny, what could have happened is sometimes if something goes wrong, this file here can get deleted. So if I click on this little tick button, someone may have accidentally hit this delete or something similar. If that's the case, what happens is this gets chucked into the deleted folder, but the shaded option may still remain, and that sometimes causes issues. To fully resolve this, we'll probably need to go offline. So that's something that we should touch on later on, and will be. But typically that may be the case, or it could be a permissions. We'll need to investigate more. And we've got one from, hopefully that helps, by the way, Benny, but yeah, we'll talk on that a little bit more offline. Michael, at the moment, when a NWF file is hosted in ACC or BIM CP, the NWC have to be appended through Desktop Connector and locked to user. Can the NWCs be appended somehow through the cloud? The answer to that is not yet, I'm afraid, Michael. I will need to speak to the development team on, I believe that they do have some updates coming that may help address what you're just talking about, but I don't yet know how close they are on that timeline. So if you wouldn't mind contacting, so give me 1 second, I'm just gonna, if you wouldn't mind just emailing the info at A2K Technologies, it'll come through to me and we can take this conversation more offline, and perhaps I can provide a bit more information there. From Troy, is there a way to clean or reduce the model size of others' models to consume? That's a very good question, Troy. The only thing that you can do, okay, it fully depends on your permissions level, Troy. If you're a BIM manager, okay, and you have access to everyone's models, what you could do, okay, is you could go into your Revit, go into Home, go to their project file, and actually do what's known as so when you go sync with Central, okay, there is a button that's available. I'll just see if I can bring it up now. It's called Compact Central Model, and you can do things like this to help them if you would like. Otherwise, there is no way within this platform here other than create an issue to actually reduce that size. If your teams are working, or rather used to working in this environment, so for example, if we go to design collaboration, what you can also do is choose what parts that you want to consume, and that may assist you as well. So if we go to, for example, part of the architecture team, and I go to something like services here, click on services, you see here the package contents. All they've given me is a set here, and that set is just a 3D view, and I can hit consume, and that's a lighter weight. But again, it just depends on your permission level and how good your sort of a purge. I'm afraid not within the cloud platform, I'm afraid. As far as I'm aware, Troy. Hopefully that helps answer your question. But that's where we're at from a cloud perspective as well. So other than sort of workarounds, there isn't an easy easy solution. I'll just wait for a couple seconds if there are any more questions. Feel free to also say, hey, look, you haven't answered my question fully. I'd like to know a little bit more, and I'll try and squeeze it in within our time. Yeah. Okay, perfect. I'm just going to see if anyone has any more questions. I think we've answered all of them. So the yes. So Benny. Actually, sorry. I believe it was Troy. Troy, the button that you're looking for is that compact central model here when you go synchronize with central. So you can do little things like that, but the other teams might not appreciate you doing that on their behalf. But that's that. I think those are all of the questions that we have.